My name is Samar, and first of all, I would like to thank you for attending this full training session. Our topic today is how to train your assistant to be indispensable. We will carry on our previous short training session about the same topic. First, we will start with an introduction about the topic, but before we start, I would like you to introduce yourselves and tell me one thing or two that you like about your job or you don't like you hate it, about your job or specifically about your manager.
One thing I don't like about my job is that it's in retail and I don't want to work in retail anymore.
Yeah, why?
Because I'm ready to take on more responsibility and more leadership roles, and it's not something that I can do and grow to my full potential in the job I'm currently doing.
Perfect. So Leah wants to reach her potential and she does not feel that retail and dealing with customers would help her reach her potential.
So
Your
I feel
name?
like, I'm Chloe. It's fine. My previous jobs have never been specific to business or HR, and I feel like as I'm getting closer to graduating, I want to get a job that actually is relevant in the field of study.
And what you don't like about your job in terms of what you're doing or how people are treating you?
I feel like I don't have that much time. Like, I'm doing a bachelor's degree, and sometimes managers don't understand that other people have something else going on that's bigger than the actual work that you're doing.
Right, so they don't accommodate you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
My name is Abdi. One thing I did dislike working in my retail in the past at Walmart is especially how in the retail industry they believe the customer is always right. That persona, believing that the customer is always right, sometimes customer really isn't right. Like the way they're treating the employees and treating especially like customer service people is unacceptable, and I just don't understand why managers and higher up will have this concept of making sure that the customer is always right and believing that in the customer when they should be sometimes believing in their employees.
Right, and did you discuss this with your manager?
I have discussed this many times with my manager, but it doesn't ever go anywhere. They always say the customer is always right. We're in the retail industry. We have to make sure every single person that walks through that door is satisfied. So.
But they explained the reason, or they just told you like you have to do it?
They just say you have to do it. They don't really give me a reason. They just say that's our policy. Sorry, you have to deal with it.
Okay. Thank you. So for our agenda, we will start with the introduction about the topic, and we will then have an open discussion. So it's tell me about a time when, and then I will share my personal example at work related to the topic, and we will have a practice exercise like a role play, and then we will regroup for discussion. We will have a conclusion and then time for questions and feedback. After we are done, I will give you guys the training evaluation form so you can give your feedback about the training session and the learning outcomes. So our topic is how to train your employees to be, your assistant to be indispensable. And by indispensable, we mean how to get them know people, know things, know what they are doing and how they are supposed to do it. So I want you guys to tell me about a time when your manager made you feel important at work. So I want you first to discuss it in groups. So apparently we will have only one group because we don't have many people. But in a group, first discuss it, and then we will discuss it individually as well. How your manager would make you feel important, like what exactly they do to make you feel important and essential in your work, or the opposite, how they would make to feel you neglected or not important, or maybe doing a routine work that you're not really essential, anyone can replace you, anyone can take your job. So think of that, and then we will discuss it.
For things that don't make me work. Specifically, my current job right now, I work in McDonald's as a shift manager. Like investing all this time and all this effort into my work daily, and like going above and beyond, especially like some days I would stay at work an extra hour, extra 2 hours helping them and not get paid for it, and nobody recognizes me for that. I would like clean things on my late night shift and ensure like everything is proper, and at the end of my shift I'm exhausted, and not a single person has said thank you, Abby, or even like recognized me for it at all. They just
Thank you, Abby. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, how do you feel about it when your contributions go unrecognized?
actually like gets pisses me off. It makes me feel unmotivated to come into work every day. But at the same time, there are like some days where they will like appreciate you, and you'll know we'll have like a manager outings or we'll have group events and stuff like that, and it makes me feel happy to actually be working at McDonald's. But at the same time, there are more days than others that like make me feel unappreciated at a place.
Like you feel anyone can do your job, anyone can replace you, you're not really valuable? That's annoying, right?
Yeah, that's
Isn't
very
it?
much so.
Yeah, and it also like demotivates you to put effort, or you're still putting the same kind of effort,
Stop doing that after a year.
right?
It demotivated me a lot. So I'm like, why am I putting all this effort and time into my work? Nobody's recognizing me, so I just come in, do my thing, and leave. I don't put any extra work anymore.
Yeah, you're right. That's like lack of motivation is a big problem. But we discussed it with that.
Yeah, like when the slide came up and it said about a time that your manager made you feel important at work, I literally could not think of a single time where I have like really felt like I'm important to any manager that I've ever had. Like I worked at like back home, I worked at a school, and well, I worked as like I was a teacher in like an after school club. I did like ballet, karate, all of the like extracurricular activities, and sometimes my manager would say like, oh yeah, you have to go and work at the library because the school needs someone. I'm not working for the school. I was doing like 3 hours overtime, and that wasn't my job. I wasn't there to sit in a library and look after these kids. I was trained to teach them all of these sports and dance and things like that. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like, this isn't what I'm being paid for. This isn't what I want to do. And I told my manager this, and he was just like, well, the school needs someone. Like, why does that someone have to be me? Like, in the end, I gave up. I was like, well, what am I doing here? Like, there's no point of me being here if I'm not doing something that I actually like. So yeah, like, I don't really think that I've ever had a good experience with it.
So your manager apparently didn't create meaning or purpose for what you're doing.
Yeah, like it was obviously like every single class had a specific teacher, and most of the time, like if the school needed another, like a person to look after it, was like, oh yeah, Chloe will do it. Chloe will always say yeah, like it's fine. But like I wasn't there to do it. It was literally me sitting in a library watching these kids.
Did you got it in a way that they trust your performance, or they're just anyone can do it, so they put you?
Yeah, it was more just like anyone can take over this class. Like just put Chloe in the library, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like it as well as saying like, oh yeah, anyone can do it. It was like no matter what, Chloe will always say yes. Like it doesn't matter how unreasonable the task is. Like let's just ask her and see what she says.
So do you feel there was no effective communication channels between you and your manager, and you didn't have clear expectations of what exactly your role is?
Yeah, definitely. It was more like he knew. Like I made it very clear like what I did. It was just that he didn't acknowledge that ever. Like it was just like I had very clear goals. I had specific classes and like specific skill sets that I could teach. So it was more him just kind of ignoring that and not acknowledging it because it's easier for him to do it that way.
Do you feel you can continue that way? Or?
Definitely not. No, it's so demotivating. Like Abdi said, like when you're put in that situation, it's like, well, what am I doing here? Why? Like I literally feel like anyone could do that job, and that's what the manager's saying. He's literally saying anyone can do your job. Like, why would you want to show up to work?
Right. So no, you didn't create a meaning or purpose for what you are doing or make you feel valuable.
No.
Yeah. And do you put effort at work, or you're just doing it?
Yeah, of course. Like I'm looking after people's kids. People pay for this service that I'm doing. Like people put their kids' education and safety in my hands. I really, really liked the job, and I thought it was such an important job. But the managers just didn't have the right idea about their staff.
So you lack motivation.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Well, like the main one I can think of, because like the job I have right now, I mean, it's like an entry level cashier, yada yada, and like I would say that I feel neither important nor not important at work. Like it's not a huge one way or another, but definitely in the job I had before, when I was working at West End Mall Parks and Attractions, shouldn't say anything, but anyway, there was a time I felt really important work because I was really doing, like putting a lot of hard work in. I had really become loyal to the company, and then they promoted me to a junior supervisor, so I felt very important in that moment, but essentially the position became like it was supposed to be like a training position, but you would basically never leave the training position. So you would be eventually doing the work of a supervisor pretty much like 100%, you know how to do it, you do it every day, but you obviously didn't get the pay of the supervisor, and you obviously didn't get all of the responsibility and all of the like authority of a supervisor. Like it was like when they needed you to do something, like, oh, well, you can do it because you know how, but then as soon as they didn't need it anymore, they're like, oh, you're not allowed to do this because you don't have the authority, kind of thing. So it was like, it became quite frustrating to kind of wanting to, like knowing that I was capable of doing the job and knowing that at times I was expected to do the job, but never actually getting the recognition, whether it be financially or through actually having the proper title or the proper job description. Like I never got any of that.
So how did you feel about the difference between when they made you feel important and what was your manager's role in that, and when the discrepancy happened and you felt that you don't have a clear role and you don't have clear expectations and you are just doing what you are being told to do?
Yeah, when my manager first approached me about wanting to promote me, it kind of felt like a huge win for me. Like I was overjoyed. I was like, oh my goodness, like I have this role now that I've been working really hard towards. Like I feel great. But then after I kind of saw the realities of what was happening, and as the couple of years like went on, I realized that I was in like a dead end position where I was asked to do the same amount of work, but for less the recognition, less the money, and like without having like a real position. So it definitely became more like feeling used rather than feeling appreciated.
Okay, so thank you guys for sharing your experience. Now I want you to think what your managers could have done different to fix the situation. Like just think of one thing your manager could have done to solve this problem.
Like as a discussion, or
Yeah, if you can think it as a discussion, it would be better.
Well, for me, it was just recognition, basically.
Yeah, so
simple thank you, like, could have sufficed for them to say, oh, thank you for your hard work, we really appreciate it.
2 hours for free.
2 hours for free and, investing all this time.
How about you, Chloe?
I think my manager was just such a mess that I don't know what he could have done rather than just like taking notice and actually like paying attention and seeing like, okay, this isn't what her position is. Like why, and also the thing is like it wasn't within the company. Like I was doing work for the school rather than for the company. Like just understanding what my role was would have made such a difference, and just being like, oh well no, like I'm paying her to be this teacher or like instructor or whatever. Maybe let's not shove her in a library being a childminder for hours. Like I don't know. I don't know what he could have done. Maybe just recognize that that wasn't my job. I don't know. Like, that's it.
Yeah, like honestly, mine is kind of similar to you. There was no job description for my role because my role wasn't even a real role. It was a training role to eventually make a way into a supervisor position. But the lines just became so blurred. I was basically treated and expected to act as a supervisor. So I think it's just the making sure roles are clear and making sure that people aren't getting taken advantage of and aren't expected to do work that they aren't getting compensated for. And excuse me. And so people are getting, and then also that there's like at least some sort of structure in place so you're not putting someone in this limbo for so long that they don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, there's like no clear path.
Yeah.
But also you're saying that like you were a junior supervisor
Yeah.
and you had all the tasks of
Yes.
like a regular supervisor, right?
Yes.
What was the supervisor doing?
The same thing.
Yeah?
Yeah, because like the way it worked, there was the water park and Galaxyland. So
Okay.
you'd be on either side, and so I would be doing like we'd be doing the same work.
Okay, so thank you guys. So apparently you said recognition and clear expectations are the probably the things you were hoping for to get from your manager. So I will now share with you my experience with my manager and how did he make me feel important member in the company. So my manager, when I joined, he gave me clear expectations of what I'm supposed to do. He put time and effort to train me himself. Like he gave me all the information I needed, and he allocated time on daily basis to give me clear directions and even to train me on how to use the software. So he clarifies things that I don't have any kind of ambiguity. He also identified my authorities and what I'm delegated to do when he is away from work or on a business trip or whatever. And also he had clear communication channels between us. So whenever I need something, I know where to go and whom to ask. He introduced me to the executives and to the CEOs and to everyone in the company. He had me to attend these meetings with him. So I speak on behalf of the department on what kind of projects we are doing. And the great thing is that I was always recognized and my performance was always appreciated, not only from my manager, but also from like all the executives and senior people at work. It was very common that I see senior managers telling me, oh, we know about what you have done in this project and excellent job. And it really motivates me because when I feel I'm appreciated and it boosts my self-esteem, I put my effort to do more, like to learn more. He always allowed my personal or my individual self-learning. He was not controlling my learning, but he was open for like anything that he can do to allow me do better. So that was also delegation, also was a kind of empowerment. So, and it was saving time for him as well, because when he clarifies things and I know what I'm doing, it was perfect, so we don't have any kind of misunderstanding. So now I will give you guys the exercise. I will read it loud and then you can tell me how can we solve the problem. So you are a customer service manager in a telecommunication company. Your assistant Sarah came to your office and submitted her resignation. You don't want her to leave and asked her about the reasons, and she explained that she's not allowed to attend most of the meetings and she feels untrusted and unuseful. She does not know your expectations as you only blame her after she fails to do a certain task. When you are on a vacation or business trip, she's not sure what she's authorized to do, and she does not feel her efforts appreciated. You now, after she explained the reasons, you understand the problem and decided to fix it. What's your plan to train your assistant to be indispensable? Like after we had this discussion, what do you think if you can come up with something that will help the manager to keep Sarah not to leave the job? If you can come up with one thing. Okay, so Leah, what do you think the manager can do one thing so he can help Sarah not to leave?
I think one encompassing theme could be to do with communication. So like including her in meeting environments and making sure that the expectations and like her, for example, her authority are clear in what she can and can't do. So I think that kind of revolves around the communicative aspect.
Perfect, thank you. So clear communication.
Same kind of thing with communication. Like for number 3, it was when you're on a vacation or business trip, she's not sure what she's authorized to do. Like you said about your personal experience, like have a meeting before you leave, have a debrief, make sure that if you're away, they know what to do, they know who to contact or what their specific tasks are, and just make sure that they specifically know what's expected of them when you're gone.
Perfect, yeah. So again, clear expectations and clear authorities as well, because you don't want to do something that you are unauthorized to do as well.
Yeah.
Abdi, what do you think?
What I was thinking was alongside with communication and setting expectations, he could also plan to ensure that he's appreciating her as well, and sending out weekly appreciation emails to the whole team, saying great job guys on what you're doing, or great job at hitting this specific target, making sure that your employees know that you appreciate them personally, instead of just assuming that they're going to do their job without you setting expectations for them.
Perfect, great idea. So always recognition boosts your motivation, right, do you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you agree? Okay, so I'd like to thank you guys. I would now come with the conclusion that developing your assistant into a knowledge worker is really important, so you can boost their motivation and help them to perform better. You need to invest the time. You need to allow time to have your train make to have your employee make a full transition. You invest in this. So after they have the full transition, they would be capable of doing. And it's a great method for time saving as well. So patience is very important to achieve this goal. And after you have built this knowledge worker, I think you would be able to have a great performance, not only for the person, but also for your company as well. So you're adding value to your company as well. Thank you all. Now I will give you time, like 1 minute, to have, if you have any feedback or discussion or sorry, question. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
What do you think is the hardest part for managers who are trying to make sure that their employees feel appreciated and recognized?
The hardest thing is that some managers, they don't want to make their employee feel important. They don't, like, they're not really leaders who do that, but they don't want they feel their employees better and doing certain tasks better than them. So it's something personal in their feelings that they don't want. Like, they want all of them to rely on them and to be dependent on them, not actually to boost their performance. So that's the hardest thing, that the manager take the initiative and the courage to build a successful team.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Just to add on to that, it's not in the manager's job description to like motivate the assistant. It's simply not there. It's not part of their task. It's not what they're getting paid to do. So I think that some people just think like, oh, it's not my job. Like,
Great, right. Some managers also, they assume that your assistant came, she knows her role and she will do whatever she's supposed to do. But if you take it from a different perspective, that you think, how would you feel about your motivation if I give you just commands and orders? Do this, do that, do that. And you don't understand you don't have any understanding of the meaningfulness of what you're doing. As you said, Chloe, right? So thank you guys. I will now give you the evaluation form. Please fill it and hand it in back to me. Thank you so much, and thanks for your attention and for your valuable insights. Thank you.